I'm grateful that you could join us this afternoon. We are live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 144, and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The details now. Speaker of Parliament Alban Gbagwin has described as abysmal Parliament's oversight responsibility over the executive. This he blames on the lack of capacity and inadequate resources for MPs to play their constitutional role effectively. Inaugurating the Parliamentary Service Board for the 8th Parliament, the Speaker also reviewed constant break-ins into vehicles of MPs and staff within the premises of Parliament because the House has no control over the area. He wants the entire enclave handed over to the legislature. My colleague Elton Brobe was at that inauguration and joins us via Zoom. Thank you, Elton. Tell us about the composition of the board and the other demands of the Speaker.
So the board is chaired by the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Gbagwin. That is what the Constitution says. And the other members includes the Majority Leader, Osei Chairman Sabonsu, and the Minority Leader, Haruna.
Too bad.
Are also on the board. They will only attend meetings but will have no voting rights. I'm talking about the two deputy speakers. And then we have the Clerk of Parliament as a member. And then we have some, appointees. And this is based on a recommendation of a committee that was set up to advise the Speaker on those who appoint to the Parliamentary Service Board. So we have Johnson Asedu Ketia, who is the General Secretary of the NDC, a former Member of Parliament, a former Deputy Minister, and then also a former Majority Leader and former MP for Tema West, Abraham Osei Edu. So this is the composition of the Parliamentary Service Board, 6 and then plus additional 2, the Deputy Speakers. They can attend meetings, but they will have no voting rights. Now, the Speaker took on some staff of Parliament. According to him, since he assumed the office as Speaker of Parliament, he has had cause to evaluate the work ethics of those who work with the legislature. These are parliamentary staff. And he says that a significant number of them earn salary every month, but they do nothing. And that is the conclusion he came to after evaluating their work ethics. And for that reason, one of the key issues that the Parliamentary Service Board will have to do is to chart a way that will weed out people who have become, a burden on the national purse because of the fact that they are on the payroll of the parliamentary service, but that's nothing to earn the salary that they are paid every month. And then the issue about the fact that the parliamentary enclave currently belongs to the office of the president and nurse, and for that reason they have no control over who comes in and who goes out. The reason some MPs and some staff of Parliament have experienced breaking into their vehicles, there's been numerous cases of stealing because they don't control who comes in and who goes out. There's been a committee set up to advise the president to hand over the entire premises to Parliament for its use. And he says that the Majority Leader, Osei Chairman Sabonsu, is currently leading that negotiation. President Kufuor has given this commitment to hand over this particular enclave to Parliament for Parliament to have it for their own use. When they have it, they can beef up security within the premises and get it done. But he was not happy with the oversight role of Parliament, which is one of their key responsibilities, apart from the fact that they make laws. They are to oversight the executive, but because of lack of capacity, they are unable to do it.
Elton, the majority and minority leaders also spoke about the high attrition rate in Parliament and suggested ways to deal with that. Tell us about that.
So, Osei Chairman Sabonsu is happy that on the Parliamentary Service Board now is a 7 executive of a major political party, Johnson Asedu Ketia. For him, this annual ritual, or every 2 years, where parliamentary members of Parliament will have to go to their constituencies to go and then be voted for to retain in Parliament, is not helping the House at all. And for that reason, the two parties must work out a plan that will ensure that first-time MPs are not challenged at the parliamentary primaries, and that very good parliamentary materials are always kept in the House to ensure that they contribute meaningfully to the growth of Parliament. Because according to him, with the exception of the legislature, the other arms of government have able people to help them execute their duties. But when it comes to Parliament, because of internal politics, MPs are unable to fully contribute and help with the advancement of parliamentary democracy.
On the lighter side, and as we end this conversation, Elton, we know that earlier the Majority Leader had concerns with the NDC's General Secretary being on the Parliamentary Service Board Well, what was the demeanor of the two today as they met themselves when they were sworn in?
So Mr. Siringatia came in first. When the majority leader joined, he went over to his side, he exchanged pleasantries, and even during the formal, inaugural addresses, the speaker touched on that and said that per the rules that establish the Parliamentary Service Board, beyond those who are statutory appointed, there's always a committee that advises the speaker on who to appoint. And Mr. Siringatia fixed into the criteria. He's been a former member of parliament before, a former minister, and for that reason, he's more than fit to be on this particular committee. Also, Chairman's argument is that they should look at parliament as an institution beyond politics and help fashion out rules that will help guide it and make it more, potent in the delivery of its mandate. For that reason, Mr. Siringatia must look beyond his political affiliation and work together with other members on the board to advance parliamentary democracy.
Elton Brobe will leave it here. Does Elton given us details of that program to swear in members of the Parliamentary Service Board? Away from that, traders plying their wares on ceremonial routes of Kumasi are back on the streets a day after the Metropolitan Assembly commenced decongestion of the area. The Asante-Hene Otumfuo Osei II had requested the route be cleared for use, especially as he marked his 22nd anniversary on the Golden Stool. On Monday, most of the traders complied with the directive. Nanaya Ojima, however, reports they are back on the streets. He joins us via Zoom with updates. Well, describe to us how the route looks like today and how relevant are these areas that we are talking about.
Well, this morning, when I went to the route from Dr. Mensah through to Adum here in Kumasi, the traders were back. Those who trade on tables, they've brought back their tables, and this morning they were trading as they used to do before yesterday. And if you go to the route now, some others who fear the police and the security personnel who were on the streets yesterday will be back, are now trading in small plastic bags and also hawking their wares. But there are some others who believe the police will not come back, so they've brought their tables back onto the streets. This stretch from Adum, from Dr. Mensah through to Adum, is a very important one for the Asante-Hene. This is a ceremonial route, and from what I've been gathering, there's this custodial home at Adum where Asante-Hene sometimes go there to perform some traditional rites. So whenever there is a fufi or Kweside, Asante-Hene is supposed to move through from Mensah through to Dr. Mensah to Adum to perform such rites. But due to the presence of these traders on the route, Asante-Hene has had to, for some time now, change his route, and now he used the Alonga Junction and Asafo stretch, which comparatively is far from Adum, using Mensah. So in celebration of the 22nd anniversary of the Asante-Hene, he has requested the Kumasi city authorities to ensure that this route is cleared for the Asante-Hene to use, especially tomorrow where he will be going to the custodial house to perform certain rites.
All right, Nanaya, we know the Regional Coordinating Council and the KMA are doing some work together there. What has been done so far?
So this morning, the Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah has been addressing the media, and according to Mr. Osei-Mensah, they will keep the task force on the ground, especially tomorrow, to ensure that...
Hello, Nanaya. Well, too bad we lost Nanaya there, but we will bring you more on this in subsequent bulletins. Away from the Ashanti region, danger looms on the Ho-Accra Highway as the middle of a portion of that road has caved in, and this is between the Bonvi barrier and Chito. There's danger there, and well, the residents have been complaining about this in that area, which falls within the whole West District of the Volta region, and this has created a huge hole there. Motorists are also being advised to be extra careful on that stretch.
At the dawn of Sunday, 3 occupants of this Volvo cargo with registration number GT56817 almost lost their life in an accident on the whole Accra highway. The cargo, which was transporting clothing textiles from Togo to Accra, veered off the road when it fell into a pothole between the Kponvi barrier and Chito. Evans Bechi is the driver's mate of the cargo truck.
Thing happened is we were away coming. We just saw a small potholes on the road. We just reached there and our front tire just entered the bridge and the bridge just collapsed. So the force that the car is using, it just used to direct us to the bush inside. So maybe make us say things spoiled for the car and body view, only the car under, the tire, the diesel tank, the muffler, and the axle.
The unfortunate incident resulted in the carving in of the section of the road. According to sources, this same section was damaged 2 years ago. However, no proper repair work was done. Instead, it was filled with gravel. Careful study at the bridge reveals that the iron rods used have rusted, hence could not hold the weight of the concrete bridge, leading to the damage. Drivers plying the route have appealed to the Ghana Highway Authority to repair the road to prevent the unfortunate from happening. We realized there was a pothole here which was filled with gravel. We heard one of our vehicles was involved in an accident here. We are pleading with the highway authorities to repair the road because it looks dangerous and may cause serious accidents. We are compelled to divert through Peki and join the highway at Asikuma due to the state of the road. It is dangerous driving on the stretch at night and for drivers plying the route for the first time.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
the assembly member for Chito Jigbe electoral area, Samuel Into, explained he has informed the relevant authorities about the unfortunate incident.
When the incident was reported, I informed the BNI and I spoke to the district chief executive, who is Demolition. The incident happened, even though in Chito, Baton area, I informed the chief executive and he told me he reported the issue to the authorities and the by all means work on it.
While the authorities take the necessary actions to repair the road, motorists using the Accra-Ho Highway must be careful when approaching Chito. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Chito.
And the Tema West Municipal Assembly has demolished some structures erected on waterways around the Lashibi Drain. This follows a directive from the Greater Accra Region Minister Henry Quartey for the buildings to be pulled down. The sighting of the buildings, including that of the assemblyman of the area, is said to cause serious flooding when it rains. According to the MCE for Tema West, Adra Moako, who supervised the demolition, several attempts to get developers to stop building have been unsuccessful. She's warning today's exercise is only the first of a series to be conducted by the Assembly ahead of the rainy season.
The minister's concentration was particularly on this building because it was just close to where the bridge is being constructed. When you look at the big bridge over there, have you seen it? Yeah, it's being constructed. And so it is close to this particular building. And that's the more reason why it was so alarming. So the minister was just passing by and saw, how can somebody build close to a bridge that is being constructed? And then at the same time, pipelines are also here. And it was like, what is going on? And it attracted the minister to be here to come and have a look.
It's good to have the minister trigger this whole action, but
yeah,
we're saying that as an assembly, and we're hoping that the assembly is responsible.
Yeah.
Is it not okay that you extend it to all the buildings that you have?
As I've already said, we are going to, this is just a beginning, okay. And so expect more from us. Okay. Yeah, we're going to do more, not only with people that have structures on the waterway, but people who just site containers. This is a planned area. We were carved from Tema Metropolitan Assembly, as we are all aware, and Tema is a planned area. So you cannot just site container buildings and all other things anyhow. And the work is ongoing. We've just started. This is just the beginning. So we are trying as much as possible to advise everybody who has built on the waterway to make sure he does it himself, because we are going to go to the Ramsar site. People who just site containers anyhow, people who just put up their buildings without permits are going to suffer. We are going to make sure we take them to court and make sure they destroy it themselves, because it becomes a cost when assembly does all these things. So we are not going to allow them to do whatever they want to do in the community.
Madam, it's interesting that you say that this is just starting. Checks beyond this particular stretch reveal that all the buildings over there have also been marked. It begs, understanding how all of those...
Yeah, I would not say that assembly is not ineffective. We've been giving permits to people, but people have refused to come to the assembly, the reason best known to themselves. Yeah, so the assembly is making all effort to do permits for them. I would not say the assembly is not efficient, but we normally also have to take entry permits from TDC before buildings are put up. But sometimes it delays from TDC. That's how come I could see that people are also doing their own thing, because they are thinking that before you get that entry permit from TDC, it will take a very long time, and it's also expensive. And so, why don't I go ahead and do whatever I can do? That is also one of our challenges. Yeah.
My building was built based on technical advice from the NADMO district director. And in fact, I spoke with the regional director as well. And they gave me an advice that a building can come beside a drain when there is a 30 meters or 50 meters away from the drain. So based on that advice, I gathered confidence, and by the aid of the chief, Klagon chief, who takes in charge of this place, and when he allocated the place for me, I said, fine. If NADMO advice is that 30 meters or 58 meters from the drain, I can put up a structure. So if you can see, right from the back of my building, there is a space which is about 50 meters or 30 meters I'm talking about. So based on that advice, that is why I gathered courage to put up this structure.
So why is there stop work on it? Why is there marking on it?
Marking on the, I think it is the inside. There is another structure which they marked on it, stop work, produce permit. But on my structure, there is no evidence of stop work or produce, how do you call it, demolition or something like that.
Looking at this demolition, don't you think yours should be affected?
I don't think it should be affected because I contacted the technical men.
Do you have permits?
I have permit. I've started the process. I have a receipt of what I've started.
Before having permit?
No, I've not finished. I've not finished it yet.
But looking at the level at which it is now, as an assemblyman, you're supposed to have permits.
Well, as the West Chairman of the Assembly, I know permit takes process. It takes process before it is finally approved. You understand?
Away from the Greater Accra region, parents of a 3-month-old baby born without arms in the northern region say they are under pressure from family and community members to kill their child because she's physically challenged. Children born with deformities in the community where they reside, Kabongule, are considered bad luck and evil spirits. But parents of the baby, named Malko, loosely translated as only God, are determined not to conform to the age-old belief and practice. Maxwell Agbaba traveled there and has the rest of the story.
I am on a motorbike heading to Kabongule, a community about 3.5 hours drive from Tamale. Persons who work in the child protection space have alerted me to an age-old belief where physically challenged babies are seen as evil spirits. Here, I meet residents who tell me some children who are victims of the practice leave the hospital very healthy but die later under very mysterious circumstances. The Northern Region Police has no record of these alleged killings, but residents say it is usually done on the blind side of law enforcement officers and people who will possibly raise an alarm. I'm now at the residence of the 3-month-old baby born without arms in Carbonbule. She cries as her mother tries to lull her to sleep. Father of the baby, Ananias Kweku Viagbedo, says he's under pressure to do away with his baby because she's physically challenged.
My
friends and loved ones do not want to get closer to me now. I have also decided not to allow outsiders get access to the baby, so they will not attribute any misfortune in the community to my child. Many of them, we hear it all the time.
He says he will not bow to the custom and beliefs of his community. Mother of the baby, Mary Nyong, says there's pressure on her to get rid of baby Mauko.
They want to kill my child because they say she's not human. I know she's human and she'll be great in future.
I've now met Solomon Atta, his secretary to the chief of Carbonbule. He says it is the belief of the community that physically challenged children are evil spirits. He cites an instance where a physically challenged 1-week-old baby was killed.
Children who are born disabled, at times we do away with them because we say they are not fit into the society. Even in school self, I don't think we allow them to go to school. We believe that they have evil spirits, or maybe it is sort of witchcraft. The witches are hunting them. Or maybe the person is born a witch. So such a person, we don't want him in the society. I think some years, one happened. A small child was born about a week. The child started eating. So the parents have to do away with the child.
Wait, because the child started
eating food.
1 week?
1 week.
It's not good?
It's not good. It's not good. It's not
Why?
Good. It is not practice. But it is inhuman. It's a child. 1 week, then the child started eating there. I don't think it is normal. Fufu, they left over. The mother saw the child eating. They have to do away with the child.
So the child was killed?
The child was killed.
Solomon Atta agreed to take me to the chief priest of Carbonbule, an old man whose name loosely translates as death is better than trouble. He confirms the assertion by the secretary to the chief, as he says physically challenged children are not fit to live amongst humans.
It is all part of our belief. They are all from God, but not all of them are from Him. Some of the children do not look like humans. When there are deformities in the leg and other parts of their body, we discard them.
Now, what you say? Yeah.
Okay.
Because
we do not live with them because they do not look like humans.
Okay, so the hospital, where's
Godfred Golden Vovrego is the Mandai district pastor of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. He's one of the people pushing for change in the community.
Honestly speaking, it has been a big problem in the community. The most painful thing is the innocent child and the family, the parents, the way they have been stigmatized in the community. In fact, my brother has gone through a serious, let me say, stigmatization.
As pressure to get rid of 3-month-old Mauko grows, her mother and father say they are optimistic she'll become a shining light for her community and a story will change the age-long belief. They admit they cannot do it alone and will need the assistance of their community and Ghana as a whole.
Maxwell Agbagba with that story. Now, an angry Muslim father on Monday stormed Wesley Girls Senior High School in Cape Coast to withdraw his ward, saying he does not understand why the school doesn't permit his daughter and other Muslims there to fast. Ismail Zakaria Al-Hassan, the father of Bushira Ismail, drove from Accra to Wesley Girls to carry out his threat of withdrawing his child. According to the father, she would be better off in another school that would allow her to fast than in one that would infringe on her rights as a Muslim. Richard Kojunyako has more in the following report.
According to Zakaria Al-Hassan Ismail, the complaint of his daughter, a first-year student of Wesley Girls Senior High School, made him decide to come to the school to withdraw her immediately.
She was complaining that she's not been allowed to do fasting because I know my daughter, she normally do fasting. Any year that we do fasting, she is also doing the fasting. Even when she was in primary and the GHS, she was doing the fasting and then the same time attend school. So when she came here and she is not been allowed to take the to do the fasting, then she was worried. So she told me that she's not been given the chance to do fasting one, and even she had the opportunity to meet the head, and still the head did not allow her to do the fasting.
Ismail, a first-year student, didn't understand why the school does not allow students to fast, and so when the dad called her, she informed him that she is not being allowed to fast, hence the visit of the dad.
He's saying, like, the Muslims are not allowed to fast in this school. I didn't understand, so I wanted to meet the headmistress for her to explain to me, but I didn't get the chance to talk to her, so I was there when they came to call me. She wants to meet me. But at first, I was really worried. I even cried a lot because it's my tradition, and I've been doing it since I was a kid. Almost 8 years I started fasting. So I was very sad when they told me I can't be able to fast this year. I was really sad.
The headmistress of the school indicated it was not only Muslim students in the school that are not allowed to fast, but all students from different denominations, including Christians. But Mr. Al-Hassan was not convinced. He wanted the school to allow the students to fast.
So I myself today and the mother, we came together, and then we sat down with the administrator, and then he subsequently took us to the head. We sat down and then we started the discussion. So in fact, I said that I want to take her home and then change school for her so that she can get a school where she can do the fasting. But later on, when we finished and the head asked her whether she's ready to go out of this school and go to another school, she said no.
Bushira Ismail indicated.
Richard Kojunyako with that report. It's been nearly 5 years since the KG block at Breman Jamra collapsed on 6 kindergarten kids. After the collapse, government promised to put up the KG block in the adjoining school building that was also a death trap. Here's Richard Kojunyako again with the rest of the story.
It was in the month of February, and that day was supposed to be a beautiful Tuesday morning here at Breman Jamra. But sadly, the day turned into mourning. About 70 pupils aged 4, 5 and 6 were about to settle for studies when the building collapsed on them. 6 of them died instantly. It got the entire country talking. The education minister visited the scene of the accident in a swift manner. Government made the community a promise, pulled down a school block that also posed a grave danger to the lives of the school pupils here. It's been more than 4 years and that block hasn't been completed. Nana Kwesienin, the third, is the Jasin of Breman Jamra.
When the building collapsed, the Minister of Education through the Minister of Education came here. They gave us a promise that they were going to reconstruct the building. Indeed, the construction started, and on my left, you can see that a project is ongoing. It's been in this state for the past 6 years or so, and the problem is that as it's being exposed, the building is exposed to the vagaries of the weather. So the sun is hitting it, the rains are falling on it, so it's weakening the structure. And if care is not taken, something untoward may happen.
Luckily, that particular KG block that collapsed on the school pupils was rebuilt by an NGO within months. But it seems government promise might take a decade or two to be fulfilled.
So I'm here in one of the classrooms here at Breman Jamra Methodist School. See, the students are crammed in this small classroom building. This is as a result of government's inability to complete the project it started. So this is a typical classroom here, and this island is the Form 3 classroom. The room is very, very, very hot. I'm sweating, and you can look at the sweaty face of these young ones. This chair, for instance, is being shared by 3 students.
My name is Erica Fezi. When our teachers are teaching, we find it difficult to understand because we are uncomfortable. We are sitting in 3-3, so when we are being constructed, we are not able to construct it well. We want the government to continue our buildings for us so that we can be spaded.
We are feeling bad. Then we can't even write. 3 people are sharing desks and it's bad for us. We want to change. We plead the government to come and complete the building for us so that we can go and learn.
It's not only the Methodist school block here that has issues, but also the district assembly school blocks. The school blocks that are housing these school pupils are death traps on their own. There are cracks and crevices all over. The floors of these school buildings are piped, and the entire blocks have gone through patching to save them from collapsing. The school pupils here have to close whenever it threatens to rain. An opinion leader in the community, Nana Kojo Enchibu Esiakon, appeals for support. He says they cannot wait for another disaster to happen.
But the unfortunate incident happened some time ago, and it was a big rainstorm which ripped off the roofing of the building, part of it. That has caused this building to be in this state. In fact, every effort has been made through the district assembly, and many letters have been written to the government to come at least to do something about the building. In fact, all has proved futile. Now, this is the state of the building. In fact, there was a KG somewhere around here, and the KG was so dangerous. In fact, it could have caused accident, as it happened some time ago. So the teachers decided to keep the children in this computer office.
Well, the DC for Isikmo Odobin Brakwa, Isaac Odum, when contacted, indicated it was due to lack of funds, and whenever there were funds available, the building would be tackled. I'm leaving the community now, hoping something urgent would be done about these dilapidated structures that are serving as places for academic activities. They are obviously disasters waiting to happen. Richard Kwejenyako, Joy News, Breman Jamra.
And here in Accra, Bernice Abubedulansa, and this is Joy News Today. Coming up shortly in business, banks write off 1.1 billion cedis as bad debt at the end of February this year.
Good afternoon, welcome to business. My name is Darrell Kwao. Illegal miners are destroying water sources used for irrigation, putting cocoa farmers at Winchi in the Western North region at risk of losing their farms. Farmers say the continuous contamination of the Chine River for mining purposes has already had a negative effect on their yields. Nana Ojima traveled to the affected community and filed this report. All right, we'll bring you that story in a bit. Now, banks wrote off 1.1 billion cedis at the end of February this year as bad debt. That's according to the profitability statement of banks operating in the country, published by the Bank of Ghana. Charles Nixon Yabua has been looking into the income statement of the banks and reports.
The provisioning for bad debt was classified as loan losses, depreciation and others. It was slightly above the 1.02 billion cedis recorded during the same period last year. However, the growth of the bad loans slowed down considerably, largely because of the suspension of loan repayments and loan restructuring by banks to customers during the COVID-19 pandemic. Some banks gave reliefs of about 6 months moratorium, whilst others extended it because of the fine relationship they have with the customers. In terms of asset quality, the report said the COVID-19 pandemic-induced loan repayment challenges and slowdown in credit growth continue to impact the quality of assets within the banking sector. Although the negative impact on asset quality seemed to have declined slightly in the second half of last year, supported by reliefs provided by banks, a marginal deterioration in asset quality was recorded during the first 2 months of this year. Accordingly, the non-performing loan ratio of 15.3% at the end of February was marginally higher than the year-end NPL ratio of 14.8% and the previous year's NPL ratio of 13.8%. The increase in the NPL ratio over the one-year period reflects an actual increase in the stock of deterioration in loan quality by 15.1% to 7.3 billion cedis at the end of February this year.
Now, as a means of creating sustainable jobs for the teeming unemployed youth in the Techiman municipality of the Bono East region, a consultative stakeholder engagement on digitalization has been held. The move, according to organizers of the program, is to pave way for an intensive 6-month-long digital media training that would equip participants with the requisite skills in the use of digital media tools to boost the local economy. Anas Sabit has more.
Ghana is faced with some 12% youth unemployment and more than 50% underemployment despite major investments by both government and the private sector. With a recent survey conducted across the country revealing that only 10% of graduates finding jobs after first year of completing school, there is the need for the youth to be trained with basic technological tools that would help with skills capable of providing jobs for this unemployed class. To help address this, a consultative stakeholder workshop aimed at transforming the local economy and job creation was organized by the Ghana Tech Lab in Techiman in the Bono East region.
We want to create a sustainable employment, so we call it a pathway to sustainable employment for social development or socioeconomic development. So in that regard, we have selected people, most especially unemployed people, who will go through 6 months intensive training. We are giving them the basics, how they can handle camera, how they can produce short videos and images that can help them to start their own businesses and all that.
Chief Executive Officer of Agrico Hub, Mr. George Antwibo-Siakon, says the commitment exhibited by the participants is a sign that more of such engagements is needed in the area.
For us, the contribution and the participation has been awesome. You could see the commitment and the enthusiasm of the stakeholders who are the main participants, each expressing their reception or their receptiveness of the digital media. They have expressed wonderful views. The commitment and the enthusiasm has been awesome, and we are grateful to their coming.
Abigail Otin Mafo is a graduate and one of the participants of the training. She says the skills obtained in the training would help reduce unemployment amongst graduates.
Joining this program actually was just 15 days. I was not really expecting much, but a lot of my expectations were met. I learned videography, how to edit videos with my mobile phone, so I don't need to purchase video apps and video editing softwares like Adobe Premiere and all that. I can just start with the basic mobile apps. So if these things are done freely, a lot of the youth will patronize and it will help them. They can start their own business. They can, and also for those who have already started, they can take it to the next level through digital means. So I think it will help reduce unemployment too.
For Kojo Amwakun, who joined the training from Atibubu, more needs to be done with regards to digital media trainings, adding that the move would help build businesses amongst the youth as well as decrease digital abuse.
You know, when young people are taught about technology, when the awareness of young people are created about technology and the media, digital media, it really improves on their conscience on using it for the betterment of themselves, their colleagues, and so on and so forth, other than abusing them.
Audu Seydou is a member of ACCRA Ghana. For him, such trainings would create more opportunities for starters.
I think some of this program Agrico Hub is doing, I really commend that it should continue, because in a larger extent it is going to create a lot of opportunities.
Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Tichiman.
And there's more coming up on the marketplace. Up next, sports.
Time to bring you sports on Joy News today with me, Muftar Nabila Abdullah. Yesterday, the president of the country, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, held a meeting with stakeholders that are involved in Ghana football and chief executive officers of corporate institutions in the country. The government is committing $25 million to ensure that Ghana wins the next African Cup of Nations and also make it to the semi-final of the FIFA World Cup to be staged in Qatar. Government says they have already committed $10 million and want the corporate institutions to help the Ministry of Youth and Sports and the Ghana Football Association to realize the remaining $15 million. How much was realized from this meeting? Joy Sports Sources has been giving us details. The breakfast meeting at the presidency was meant to raise funds for Ghana's AFCON 2022 participation and the World Cup qualifiers slated for June later this year. Joy Sports sources say about 9 million Ghana cedis was realized from the first of 3 meetings. The second and third meetings will happen on Friday and next week Tuesday, respectively. Sources say the main aim of the project was to secure funding for national teams in the country, where it is believed that football takes a chunk of the budget meant for the Ministry of Youth and Sports. During the meeting, the president of the country announced $10 million has been committed by government to ensure Ghana's participation in the next 2 tournaments is a success. He has, however, tasked the corporate institutions who have been invited to these meetings to help the ministry raise $15 million to ensure Ghana wins the next edition of the African Cup of Nations and reach the semi-final of the 2022 World Cup. From football, let's do boxing. And Ghana national boxing team, that is the Black Bombers, they have started camping for the Tokyo Olympic Games. Joy Sports' editor, Natana Ator, was at their first training camp and came through with this report.
Residential camping begins after a long wait and months of non-residential training at the ACCRA Sports Stadium. The arrangement, which was facilitated by the board and management of the Trust Sports Emporium in collaboration with the Ghana Amateur Boxing Federation, is expected to improve the form of the boxers very greatly ahead of the games. Suleiman Tete is the team's captain and an Olympian. He is targeting a podium finish at this year's games, and he's dreaming about great things for his career and for the nation as well. He is glad about the new camping arrangements.
It's my second Olympics that I'm going, and this time I'm going to assure you that I'm going to win a medal. I'm going to win a medal if God permits. And for the first thing that I mean is balloting first. After I get my balloting first, I promise that I can win a medal for the Olympics game.
Samuel Techi is another of the 3 boxers who are looking forward to living their dreams and also holding it up for their nation.
I'm happy for qualifying to the Olympic Games because first, I'm not in the national team. I fight individual championship and coach called me into the national team, so I'm very happy to qualify here. First, we train at ACCRA Sports Stadium, but now we train at Bukom Boxing Arena. I hope God will make our preparation go and we are ready for the games.
Shakur Samer has a unique story because if he should step into the ring in Tokyo, he would have sealed his family's status as the only one to produce 3 Olympian brothers. He is one of the characters in a recent Joy News documentary, Olympic Boxing Genes, The Story of the Samers. His objective will be to win a medal, one thing his 2 elder brothers Basti and Issa were unable to do at the 2018 Beijing Olympic Games.
And I'm telling all Ghanaians that they should have hope in me.
Away from that, multiple award-winning highlight musician Amachi Dede has opened up on why he was installed chief by the Omahene of Asante Achemagogo, Nana Kwame Ikuo Sapon, in 2018. Here is why the musician is Nana Ochiradom I of the Asante Achemagogo traditional area.
My school name is Oberima Ochiradom the First.
Oberima Ochiradom
the First.
the First.
Yeah, you see, if somebody says Oberima Ochiradom, it's not that maybe Wakokuna Chiradom and Abibisa, but I have used the music to introduce Asante Achemagogo to Ghana and abroad. You see, Ochiradom is yeah, that means yeah, Ochiradom back home. So it's the same thing because of what you've heard that you are coming here.
It's true.
Yeah, so the name Ochiradom means I mean not going for war or whatever, but using your career to influence the people to know your roots or whatever.